With the bases loaded, there's the winning run. Jordan Lewis on first base. 8th pitch of the at-bat. And Brigman lines it down the left field line. Here comes one. Here comes two. Lewis is rounding third, and he's going to come in and score as Santa Clara walks it off with a 6-run 9th inning. A miraculous comeback against LMU as the Broncos steal game 1 of the series. And this one is hit well, hit high, hit deep, has just won the game. It's a walk-off Wednesday for San Francisco as they come from behind, down 4, and win it in extras. 3 outings. And Almanza drills this towards center field. Brigman goes back. Are you kidding me? It's off the scoreboard. A hat trick for Almanza. And he ties the single-season St. Mary's home run record, number 20. A powerful blast, and it's 5-2 Gales. The pitch to Brigman is hit high and hit deep. That sends Fellows back, and that ball is gone. A grand slam for Coleman Brigman. Second long ball of the year. 5-0 Santa Clara. First, you don't want to put the tying run on. And he won't. This is a ground ball to shortstop. This might be it. To second for one. Cleary on the first ball game as Bayless comes in and slams the door shut as Santa Clara silences Stanford here on Tuesday night. It's a golden day for a midweek matinee as we wind up on Wednesday with 2 Bay Area rivals. Representing the West and the Fog, the University of San Francisco. And from down south, San Jose State. Game that today could decide both the series as well as Santa Clara's place in the West Coast Conference Tournament. With a win today and a Pepperdine loss, Santa Clara secures its position the top 6 in the conference. Welcome back to a beautiful Stephen Schott Stadium here on an 82-degree day in the South Bay. Evan Giddings alongside Dave Smoke Stewart here on ESPN Plus as we take a look at the Bronco lineup. Robert Hipwell in the middle, aided by Manzo and O'Hara. 3, 4, and 5 there, but it'll be Bering and Cleary that begin the game for Santa Clara. All under the 7th-year head coach, that is Rusty Filter. Meanwhile, defensively for LMU, it is Biller, Ornelas, and Jaw in the outfield. Baquero, Casillas, Dicochea, and Bobo on the infield. Ayers doing the catch, and Adderley the DH, all for the right-hander in Owen Hackman. Hackman for the Lions this season, making his 12th start, 61 2/3 innings thus far, 5.5 ERA, and a 6-3 record for the LA native, who stands 6'1", 185 pounds in his final season at Loyola Marymount. So Bering will step to the plate, and Smoke, you know, we were kind of talking before about the impact that you've had, but I do want to dig into the conversation and kind of the wisdom that you bestowed upon this team. And it really starts with the idea, I felt like the overarching theme, correct me if I'm wrong, was to be remembered. To be remembered for how you play, to be remembered for how you live.
That was the message. If you're remembered, that means you did things right. There are a lot of people that walk this earth and nobody ever knew they were here. But you remember people who have impact, people who touch the person that's next to them. You remember that, and that's what I was trying to get. We play baseball. That it's great to be a baseball athlete and to be able to, in that 1%, you know, to play this sport professionally. But past baseball, there's life, and you have to be the best at that. And you have to live that to the best that you can as well. And so whether you wear a uniform or whether you're wearing a street shirt, you want to be remembered. You want to have people say great things about you. It's not what people say about you when you're living. It's what people say about you when you're not around or when you're dead.
Well said. 3-0 pitch to Bering is in there for strike one. I'm curious, though, did people ever blur the line? Now we understand what you are, what you're about, the way you carry yourself, the respect you hold, not just in the community itself, but in baseball. But I'm curious if earlier in your career, having that mentality, did people ever blur the lines for you between arrogance and confidence? And how did you kind of navigate that?
Well, you know, it's crazy because I'm a quiet person. And so when you think about most people who are quiet, they don't know how to take you anyway. So, I've grown up being a kid that didn't talk very much, that didn't really have a lot of friends. And so people have always misunderstood me. So I can't say it's never bothered me, but it's more the norm, if you know what I mean, for people to say, well, he's arrogant. But that's because I never spoke.
Well, you certainly spoke with your fastball. I can say that. I mean, is that how you expressed yourself on the field, whether it's different sports? Baseball is the one you ended up, of course, playing professionally, but is that how you were able to speak with your actions first on a competitive playing field?
I competitively, my brother was 5 years older than me, and I always played with my brother and his friends. I have 2 cousins that were older than me, and so I always played with them and their friends. And so I was kind of built to be competitive because my brother never gave me a break. I had 6 older sisters. They never gave me a break. And so we kind of grew up in a competitive environment. And obviously being the second to the last child, we were more seen than heard, which explains, the quiet nature. But I grew up in a competitive environment, and anytime we did something, it didn't matter. We wanted to win. My sisters, we played a lot of Monopoly and Sorry and different card games. And I'm telling you, it was competitive in our house.
Well, we're in store for a competitive series between Santa Clara and LMU. No score here in the bottom of the first as Ben Cleary, the true freshman, finds himself in a full count after the Bering flyout. I mean, in regards to the game itself, seeing the way that baseball has evolved since you were throwing 4 straight seasons, winning 20 games, as Cleary will loft this one out to right field, jaws back towards the track, and makes the catch 2 away. When you watch the game of baseball, how do you watch it, especially with pitchers now that are going less innings? You yourself, a 200, pretty much the standard at that time during the game. How do you watch baseball now, and do you enjoy it?
I watch baseball for what it is today. When I pitched, I wasn't Bob Gibson, and I wasn't in Bob Gibson's time. And baseball, when I pitched, was different than Bob Gibson. Baseball is definitely different now than when I played in every aspect, hitting, pitching, the way the game is played. We never had a guy start off in extra innings at second base. We could throw over to first base as many times as we wanted to because that was part of the strategy of the game. So I watch the game for what it is today. And the way I enjoy the game is by picking players on each team that I enjoy watching. And when you look at it from that standpoint, because every team, there's a player that I look at and I say, he could have played with me. He could have played in my time. And when you look at it that way, the game is really an enjoyable game.
Maybe not your favorite teammates, but what characteristics of teammates? You also spoke about that as Robert Hipwell finds himself ahead in the count, 3 balls and 1 strike. You talked about that before the game, about how there were certain teammates that you wanted in your foxhole. I'm not asking you to name names, but the characteristics of those guys, what do you think those were?
Well, we'll take Carney Lansford. I love talking about Carney Lansford.
Yeah.
Because Carney Lansford was a guy we considered to be our team captain. But he's also still one of my best friends in life. Carney was honest. He never took an inning off. He was prepared. And he was a guy that was not afraid to say, this is how we play the game. And he wasn't afraid to be the example of how the game should be played. That's the teammate that I want. That's the guy that is one of my best friends today in life.
Efren Manzo to the plate now. 4-hole hitter for Santa Clara after the Hipwell walk. And, I guess to kind of follow up on that, understanding that's the model. But how do you evaluate in a game that there isn't as much free flow, say, as basketball or football. A lot of people have wondered, how you evaluate chemistry in baseball. How can you tell, as a team that you're a part of, when you guys are together?
It's just, I guess the best way to explain that is, tell me the best party that you've ever been to. And that's what it is when you've got great team chemistry. When your chemistry is good in your clubhouse, it's like a party every day. You play well, you compete well, you're having a great time, and when you open your eyes, when you finally look at the watch, you got there at 8 o'clock in the morning, now it's 8 o'clock the next morning. That's the best team chemistry you could possibly have. Time passes so quickly because you're having so much fun.
Evan Giddings alongside Dave Smoke Stewart here on ESPN Plus. Back-to-back walks from Hackman now set the stage for Michael O'Hara. And I was kind of joking with you during the break about this. I wasn't going to regale you with a story like O'Hara did, basically saying he met you or knew you when he was 12 years old. But I thought it was kind of cool how you ribbed him a little bit.
Oh, yeah, we got to do that, man. Shoot. We got to come to you and say, I remember you when I was a kid. Well, thank you very much for making me old.
This ball down the line is...
Can he make that catch?
He caught that right in front of the bullpen.
Oh,
what a play made by Jaw.
Wow.
And that brings us to the end of the first. Well, as an East Bay native, I can say on 510 day, May 10th, thank you very much, Dave Stewart, for joining us here. You're a legend both in the game as well as in the community, and I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate being here. Thank you.
We'll be back with the second inning after this. No score between Santa Clara and LMU on ESPN+.